Something that most of us do pretty much every day. Frustration, something that a lot of us experience when we're driving. What I'm talking about today, and welcome back to the show, I'm glad you're here, is highway driving, everyday driving, but for the most part, it's highway driving. And full disclosure, I get pretty frustrated when I'm driving. I don't have a lot of patience for people who don't know how to follow the traffic laws and people who basically are on the road and think that they're the only vehicle on that highway and they're going to get where they're going and they don't care who they upset, who's in their way, whatever. So I kind of want to talk about a few items, and then I'm really going to get into one that's very frustrating to me. I made notes, and I'm sure I'm going to hit a lot of things that a lot of you are bothered by and frustrated by, and may even lose your temper over on occasion. And I don't know, sometimes your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, kid might upset you because they do it. So I just thought this was a good topic that we could kind of I could share with you, and maybe you can give me some of your feedback. Tell me what I missed. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree, disagree, whatever. But there's a lot of different things that go on. Let's say, for example, I'm in the left lane. The speed limit's 65. I'm driving 65 to 70, not being crazy. And there's somebody sitting in the left lane, which is technically the passing lane. And most states, if not all states, I haven't driven in every state, but I know here in Texas, we have signs that say that the left lane is for passing. It's for the faster moving vehicles. So I'm in that lane and I'm doing 65, 70 miles an hour in a 65 mile an hour zone. And there's somebody just parked right there in that left lane, just poking along at about 60, 55. And they're on their phone, chit-chatting. They're reading a book, as I've seen people do that, or a newspaper. They're just in their own little world. They're having a conversation with the person that's sitting in the passenger seat, and they just sit there. That frustrates the heck out of me, and I'm certain that it's got to be frustrating to the majority of you folks. If it's not frustrating to you, then maybe you're the person that's sitting in that lane causing the problem. Who knows? Another thing is people cutting you off. You know, you're going along and all of a sudden somebody, bam, cuts right in there. It's like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Again, I'm in Texas, and a lot of people carry a pistol in their vehicles. And I'm sure you've heard of shootings and road rage. So that's one of those things that can cause you to have to set somebody off, and they get road rage, and then they shoot at you. I don't condone this. I don't agree with it. It shouldn't happen. I'm just telling you that there's crazy people out there that will do this. So you need to watch yourself on the highway. Tailgating upsets people. Not using your blinker. Hello? Our crystal ball is broken. We're driving. Even if we have a crystal ball, we can't play with that while we're driving. We got to be paying attention to the road. So we don't know what you're doing. If you're going to change lanes or move over or do something, turn your blinker on. If your blinker doesn't work, get it fixed. I don't know how you pass the test to get your sticker on your car if your blinker's not working. But I think the blinkers are working. People are just lazy. They can't take that small move and use their blinker. It's too troublesome to them. Or they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that they're going to move over because they think you're going to gun it, because that's another thing that people do. They'll gun it and try to keep you from getting in front of them. So it's just another. Brake checking, somebody comes up on you. You shouldn't come up on somebody really fast, but So that's a wrong thing. But then brake checking is another wrong thing. You shouldn't be doing that. It frustrates people. Again, it frustrates me. I try not to come up on people really fast, but I'm going to go back to the first one. If you're the slowpoke sitting in that left lane and I'm trying to pass you, people tend to get a little frustrated and aggravated, and sometimes they tend to move up a little bit more, and then that person brake checks. So now it just keeps growing and growing, more and more trouble, more and more frustration on the roads. It happens. Weaving in and out. You see people that are just, especially, they won't use a blinker, but they'll be cutting back and forth, weaving in and out of lanes, trying to get past people. It's like, people, try. We should be all trying to kind of move at the same speed limit. That's what helps prevent accidents, traffic jams, all the things that go on. If people would just think when they're driving, and this is coming from the Steveo School of Driving, which I've told many of people, including my wife, many times, that I think most Americans need to attend this school. And no, it doesn't really exist. It's just me being myself. Merging. You've got somebody coming in onto the freeway. It's heavy traffic, rush hour, as they call it, and it should be slow hour. And somebody's trying to get in, and there's just a line of cars, and people just won't let them in. Let them in. That's part of what backs traffic up. Let one in and go. Let the one in and go. Now, the guy on the side could be trying to jump in there and sneak in. You might get a second person trying to sneak in. If people would just learn. Same thing as merging off. If it's heavy traffic and you're merging off onto the feeder road, then let people in. Why does everybody have to think, oh, I'm more important? I got somewhere to go. I'm not letting this jerk in. They're not a jerk. There's somebody needing to get somewhere, just like you need to get somewhere. If we all just work together, the traffic will flow better. I promise you it will. Last second lane changes happen. Now that I'm guilty of, because I'm driving somewhere in a city I don't know, and oh my gosh, there's the exit. It's not right to do that. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. And I get frustrated when somebody does it to me, and I get reminded that those people, maybe they didn't know that was there. Maybe something happened. I mean, it's like, it's all about not being a jerk. It's about not being frustrating, but not being frustrating to somebody else, and trying to follow the traffic laws. Crossing double white lines, that's another thing. That's totally against the law in every state. And we see that happening all the time. Driving on the shoulder to try to get by traffic. I see this happening with motorcycles more often. And hey, I don't have anything against motorcycle riders. I don't personally have a motorcycle that I ride on the highway. I've thought about it many times, but I also don't think it's very safe, and I'm afraid I'd get killed doing it. So, but I have many, many, many friends that ride bikes, invite me to go ride bikes with them, and I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable driving a motorcycle on the highway. So I don't have anything against motorcycle riders, but we're in traffic, and then all of a sudden, either in the left emergency parking lane or the right emergency parking lane, here comes a motorcycle. And sometimes you'll see a truck or a car doing it. They're hauling butt going down, trying to get in front of everybody. It frustrates people. I've seen people pull over, block them from doing it, and then here comes the road rage and the fighting and the arguing and all of that. Again, the same thing. It's sitting in the left lane. This is kind of more of a Texas thing. We call it camping in the left lane. Traffic backs up behind them because everybody's trying to get past them. And okay, I'm going to go back to the speed limit, 65. I know that there's other states like this, not just Texas. People are driving 80 miles an hour. just get over. If you're going to drive 65, just get over it. Let them go by. It's their problem that they have to deal with if they get the ticket, okay? It's their issue, okay? And this might contradict me later in this segment that what I've got to discuss, but it's about letting the left lane is the fast lane. It's the passing lane. Get over. Driving way under the speed limit frustrates people. And that's not just in the left lane, it's in any lane. If it's a 65 mile an hour zone and you're driving 40, that presents a problem. It frustrates people. Maybe you shouldn't be driving. Maybe you have an issue. Maybe you're a little older than me because I'm old. I'm not saying I'm young and nothing against older drivers, but maybe there's that person has just gotten to the age where they don't move fast enough and think fast enough, so you shouldn't be driving too slow. It frustrates people. Cutting into HOV lanes suddenly. There's HOV lanes on the highways that aren't always blocked by a concrete barricade. Some of them are wide open that you can get in and out of those lanes at the appropriate times. I'm assuming it saves money not having to do all that concrete barrier that goes down the road. I don't know exactly why they do some of the highways this way, but, they do it. I've seen ones where they put the plastic poles, and you can go to cities like Dallas or something, and you can see where they've just been wiped out because people just drive over them. Driven over them, or drove over them. I said drived. Because I'm not perfect in my speech sometimes. But cutting into the HOV lane suddenly is leading me to really kind of what drove me to do this segment. These other things frustrate me, and I know that some people get frustrated by these other things. But there's something that almost daily just frustrates the heck out of me. If my wife's in the truck with me, she's like, Steveo, why? Why are you letting these people don't even know that you're frustrated? Why are you even talking to them? They don't hear you and they don't care. And she's right, 100%. I agree. It's extremely frustrating to me. I try to control my blood pressure, my heart rate, and not get upset about it, okay? I try to talk myself down off the ledge, but it frustrates the heck out of me. We have, especially up where I live, off of I-45, and I know they have them in other cities around the nation, so I'm not just talking to people exclusively that live where I live. You have these, I call them open HOV lanes, high occupancy vehicle lanes. There's not a concrete barrier. It's got a double white line that you're not supposed to cross. And then when you're supposed to cross, get in or out of that lane, it's little short lines. It's open and you can go in and out. That's where you do it. Where there's a double white line, you do not cross. A double solid white line cannot be crossed. It's illegal. You will get a ticket. Oh, what's a ticket? It's a Class C misdemeanor. I'll pay my ticket. I got plenty of money. I'm not worried about it. Or I'll go to driving class and maybe get out of that. It's not just about you. It's about everybody else on the road. Okay? And I really think it's every time that I get on I-45 and drive south, because I live way up north, and there's the HOV lane, high occupancy vehicle lane, where it starts, it's open. You can go in and out, but only when it's not the two solid white lines, okay? The Federal Highway Administration that put out the manual on uniform traffic control devices says it's double solid white line means lane changes are prohibited. Prohibited. You don't do it. You're expected to stay in your lane and not cross the double white line. But I see it happen every day that I get on the highway. People are crossing on the double white line, going in there. Some of them use it as their own personal passing lane. Traffic's getting heavy. People aren't going fast enough, but everybody's moving pretty much the same speed. They really are, other than maybe over on the right, the ones that are exiting, that might be backing up. But in the other lanes, everything's moving pretty good. It may be 60 miles an hour in a 65. It may be 70 in a 65. But everything's moving pretty well. But this clown wants to go by, so they cross the double white line into the HOV lane, pass whomever, and then move back over across the double white line. Now, sometimes there's more than one person in that vehicle. But a lot of times it's one person, all by their lonesome. And they get up there and they cross a double white line. One traffic ticket right there. Oh, they're speeding. 2 traffic tickets right there. Oh, they're by themselves in the vehicle. 3 citations now. And then they decide to cross it again. To me, that's 4 citations. And reckless driving could be in there. I'm not a police officer. I haven't gone to the academy. I don't know all the rules. But if I was, I sure would try to figure out what are all the citations I can write them up for. And I'd be happy to show up in court. But that's how I feel. I get very frustrated by these people that use it as their own passing lane, that are going in and out, in and out, in and out. And you're weaving, so you got the whole weaving thing I talked about earlier, but you're also doing all this. You're breaking the law, and you're not being considerate of other people. Now, think about this. You're in that lane. Let's just say you're not doing the weaving, but you just happen to be over in that lane, in the HOV lane driving. And there's a car in the left lane driving. And you decide you're going to get out of that HOV lane while it's a double white line, and you move over, causing the person behind you to hit their brakes and maybe even have an accident. Because I'm not expecting the person that's in the HOV lane to come out because there's 2 solid white lines. Now, when it gets to the point where you're allowed to, where it has the short little lines, then I know that somebody could come in and out. So I pay attention to that. But I've had people pull out, and I'm going 70 miles an hour, and they're not 5-10 yards in front of me. So it's a safety hazard. You could cause an accident. You may not be in that accident, but it sure as heck could cause other people to be in an accident and be harmed, have to spend money to fix their vehicle. Don't cross the double white line. It frustrates the heck out of me. And as I said, it's prohibited in Texas. And I looked up, and it's specifically in the area that I live in. It says, yep, no doing that. Barriers, don't cross the white line. So to kind of summarize, and this is not a real long segment, but it doesn't need to be, because I think it pretty much is almost self-explanatory when you talk about things that frustrate people on the highway. I just wanted to kind of bring this up, kind of make this a little bit lighter, even though I don't sound like I'm laughing and giggling, but it's a little bit lighter subject than the politics that a lot of times we are talking about here. Just to summarize kind of what I'm saying is, regarding the HOV, the high occupancy vehicle lanes, and if there's anybody that maybe doesn't understand what that means, look it up. But it's pretty self-explanatory and common sense. There must not should, but must be 2 people in the vehicle. No, we're not talking about motorcycles. Okay. Motorcycles can ride by themselves. That's one thing different with the nature. But in a vehicle, a car, a truck, there needs to be 2 occupants in the vehicle. That's the law. So please don't use the HOV lane if you're driving by yourself. As I mentioned, motorcycles, emergency vehicles, they can go in there. No problem. No question. Enter and exit only at the broken white line, the little short lines. That's where you get in and out. Don't be crossing the double white lines. It's illegal, and you could cause an accident. And then violating any of these rules, of course, can cause you to get a ticket. So I hope you found this a little bit interesting. I'm sorry I couldn't be a little bit lighter about it. But it is something that doesn't involve politics. And it's something that I think we all pretty much deal with to a degree as far as frustrations on the highway, things that happen. If you got other things that I didn't mention that frustrates you, hey, make a note. Let me see what you have. I may not have thought about it. I tried to think pretty much about everything. I didn't talk about phones and all, and that's very frustrating sometimes. But the texting and everything, a lot of accidents have happened. People have been killed because they were texting on their phones. But hey, drop a note in there. Tell me what you think, because I'd love to hear it. I'm going to go into a little bit, a whole lot different subject here. Getting back into politics. At the same time, it's about religion. And people tell you shouldn't talk about politics and you shouldn't talk about religion, especially at Thanksgiving dinners. But this is my podcast. This is a subject that's come up. It's some things that I've watched and read. So here I'm going to share it. And I'm not going to say that I'm not trying to say I'm right here. I'm not saying this is 100% my opinion. I'm not saying that this is absolutely factual. Okay. These are things that I've read and watched, videos, sermons, all kinds of things. And so I formulated this segment to kind of talk about. And, President Trump, people, I've seen them call him Satan. I've seen them say so many bad things about him. A lot of people dislike him a lot. I know some people who hate him, and I feel very strongly about that hate. I don't think anybody should be hated. I remember growing up as a kid, I would say I hated somebody because they'd upset me. And my mom would say, you never hate anybody. Everybody's a creation of God. You don't hate them. You can be angry, you can be mad, but don't hate anybody. So I heard it several times growing up, and that's stuck with me. It's one of the many things that stuck with me that my mom or my dad would tell me growing up. So I don't like the word hate, but we've heard him called Satan. And then I have, and you may have we've heard that he was chosen by God to be where he is today. And if I lose you here, it's okay. If you're not going to stick around, but I think you should, because there's some interesting things that I want to share here. One of the things that there's a pastor that I listen to occasionally, I like what he has to say. I believe that he is a man of God, and his name is Pastor Otho Turnbull. And I was watching one of his reels, and he was talking about that when people pick their leader, God doesn't really like them. And when God picks the leader, the people don't really like them. And I leave it to you to decide who the people are. I'm really trying not to make this about the left and right. So I'm trying to leave this to you to decide who the people are. This was something that Pastor said, and it stuck with me, so I wanted to share it. Again, he says that when the people pick the leader, God doesn't necessarily like it. When God picks the leader, the people don't like it. It stuck with me when I read it. It stuck with me a lot. And I'm that's going to take me to some stuff that you're going to go, has he lost his mind? No, I haven't lost my mind. I'm just giving you stuff that I read. I'm not saying I even believe all of this. I mean, I believe it because it's true, but it gets a little out there, okay? Back around 2017, when Trump was running for election to his first term in office as president, when inauguration came around, there were a lot of very unhappy people, if you remember. Just like there's a lot of very unhappy people today. There's a lot of people that don't like President Trump for some reason. Partly, I think it's ignorance, and look up ignorant. I prefer ignorant because it means you maybe don't know as much as you should know about a specific topic or a subject or something. So I'm not calling anyone stupid, okay? I'm not that guy. I'm saying you may not have enough information, and maybe you should do some research, study it a little bit, and you might learn some things you didn't know, and you might even change your mind. I have had my mind changed about things because of what I've read and learned and talked with people about and discussed, listened to. So I'm just saying, I think that the anger and the hatred, the dislike is maybe a little bit of ignorance. Do I like everything that President Donald Trump does? No. Do I agree with what President Donald Trump does every time? No. I do believe he's doing a good job. He's making mistakes sometimes, like we all do, because there's only one perfect one. But I still believe he's got the best interest of this country in mind. And there's a lot of people that believe God has put him where he is as our president to do what he's doing. But going back to his inauguration back in 2017, there were people out there, self-identified witches and occult practitioners, who called people together to do binding spells aimed at Donald Trump. They wanted him to be cursed. They wanted these spells to harm him. I don't know what they were. I wasn't part of that. I don't know. Was it they wanted him to die? I don't know. But they were doing this. It's documented. You can go read about it. But it was a symbolic thing that these cult people were asking for. Michael H. Hughes is one of them that I read about that was asking people to do this. They were encouraged to perform rituals at certain times, starting in February of 2017. So I guess if they're doing it at a certain time and there's more people, it works better. Most of it, from what I've seen, was organized online. And there's a lot of stuff that you'll read that says, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that big a deal. And, the federal government didn't see any major things to be concerned with about it either. It was just some people that were way out there, okay, wishing harm upon Donald Trump because he had been elected president. It hit the news. It was on the news. I mean, you saw it online maybe more than you did on the regular news, but it became quite big. People were hearing about it and reading about it. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But it was partly because it was an unusual thing to hear that people were asking for harm, cultish things, that there were witches and warlocks. And going back to Pastor Turnbull, he's the one that I heard about this from first. So I didn't just come up with this, and it didn't come from some crazies, as some people might want to think. It came from a man I respect his opinion. He's a man of God. He's educated. He's the one that I heard about this first from. So that's why I did a little more research on it to find out. When it happened, it spread really fast. The people that were interested, the people were doing it, was getting out there really, really fast. And part of it was because of what was going on, the climate and what it was like in 2017. People weren't happy because Donald Trump had beat Hillary Clinton, and there was a large number of people who thought Hillary Clinton had it in the bag, and there was no way Donald Trump was going to be elected. And then when he was, he rigged the election. He did, it was all these horrible things. Of course, conservatives, from what you read and what you see, and I believe this, my opinion is that conservatives tend to be more religious. I could be wrong, but I just think that they take their faith very seriously. So there was a lot of religious groups that were on the conservative side that really made a big deal out of this. So it became bigger. And it carried, like I said, on the internet. People were reading about it. It was happening. And then there was pastors that were out there praying for it. But again, going back to, was it a major threat? Did the federal government think there was a problem? Absolutely not. It basically it helps me to kind of bring in the rest of this information about why people, why there's so many religious leaders and prophets, as they're called, that prophesize things and say things, and you believe this or not believe this. I'm just telling you, these are things that I read. And where this comes from. I need my glasses to read. Now, you might say, well, Trump is here because God wanted him here? Well, he was born, and God brings us into this world, if you believe, if you're a Christian. So, yes, there are many religious leaders who believe that God put Trump where he is. And you go, well, I don't like Trump. I hate him. That can't be. Well, there will be those who will say there were people who didn't like Jesus. There were people who didn't like Moses. There were people who, for a long time, didn't like David. So that's kind of a tough argument, in my opinion. Again, the religious leaders feel that that President Trump was put here by God, and I want to talk about his inauguration in 2017. Okay, he had several, like, I can think of 6 religious leaders that he asked to say a prayer at his inauguration, and he asked them to basically don't script anything. I don't want anything special from you. I'm not gonna tell you what to say. I want you to pray and say what you feel like God is telling you to say. And they did. And so there's other religious leaders out there that will say, well, this was all part of, these guys were praying in the name of Jesus Christ, and they were praying away all of these spells and all this negative cultish stuff that was being put down upon Donald Trump. And, you know, you had Franklin Graham there, Paula White, Mr. Rodriguez, Sergio, I think, was right. There was 6 main ones that spoke. And, Samuel Rodriguez, Paula White, Timothy Dolan, a lot of us know who he is, Wayne T. Jackson. There's others, but they spoke at the inauguration, and as they said, they were trying, they say, the religious leaders say that they were praying in the name of Jesus Christ and fighting and taking away the negative, the spells, and all the things that were being cast upon Donald Trump. Now, he's in his second term. He's done his first term. He's in his second term. What has Donald done in a religious sort of way? A thing that would be, maybe, I'm not calling him God, a godly thing, a Christian thing, that you could look at and go, well, hey, maybe this is right. You know, he's fought to get prayer back into school, which was taken out. Why? I don't agree with it. I don't know why we would ever take prayer out of school, because we are a Christian nation. If you read the Declaration of Independence and really focus on it and how the founders founded this country and what they did, he's mandated that every home should have a Bible in it. That's a Christian thing. Is God telling him to do that? He said that, sort of mandated, said that Christians should pray for at least an hour a week to put us closer to God. He's reversed what others put in place, that men could go into women's locker rooms. I know I don't want that. And I don't know of a single father that wants that, unless they're perverted in some way. He has supported pro-life legislation. We get in a whole big discussion about Roe v. Wade. And if you think I don't believe in abortion, but as someone who sits more as a libertarian that leans to the right, I don't believe it's my place to tell a woman whether she can have an abortion or not. That's between her and God. But the one thing I don't agree with or want is I don't want tax dollars being spent for a woman to have an abortion, because I don't personally believe in the abortion. It's her business, but I don't want my tax dollars paying for those abortions. Okay? I won't change my mind on that at all. It'll never happen. He established a White House Faith and Opportunity Initiative. Do you know that they pray at the White House on a regular basis? They get together and they pray. I would say that President Trump's a godly man. It sure looks that way to me. And I'm sure there's others who say, oh, that's all fake. It's all for show. They don't have cameras there. They don't show it. Have you seen them all sitting around praying when they're doing this on a weekly or monthly basis, however much they do it? Money that had been taken away that wasn't being funded to the HBCU university, the colleges, he made long-term federal funding, put it in place, and they get it now. And a lot of these universities were founded from religion. They're religious type universities. And so that's why I say it could be considered another one of those things that is a Christian move. Then there's the argument that, Donald Trump, he cusses. He says things that aren't nice. He does things. That's just, how can he be a godly man, or how could God put him in this place? Do you think God likes it when you're driving down the road and somebody frustrates you and you cuss at him? Or you shoot the bird at him? Do you think God likes it when you do some of the things that you do? Because we all do stupid stuff that ain't perfect. We all make mistakes and we ask God to forgive us. Do you think he likes it? Do you think he liked what David did before he became a godly man? You got to think about these things. Later, when David became a godly man, if you go to 1 Samuel 13:14, God says, David is a man after his own heart who will do all his will. It's in the Bible, 1 Samuel 13:14. So there was a lot that David did that was not good. It was bad. And God didn't like it. But God did not give up on him, because God never gives up on us. He forgave him, and David went on to be such a great man. So, again, I'm just bringing these things out to kind of go, wow, these pastors, I mean, wow, is this really true? I mean, we all have to form our own opinions. I tend to kind of start going, well, he's definitely got God on his side. And I believe God puts us in places quite often to do things. So is it logical that God put Donald Trump in the presidency at this specific time because of everything that's going on? There's some stuff that you can read that will, you might go, oh, that's bull. But, you know, one of the things, it starts with his speech on Tuesday, the State of the Union speech. He began to speak at 9:11 Eastern Standard Time. And then there's all this stuff that you can look at numerically and all, 47, 45, all these things, and you go, wow. Is something big playing out? I'd say go look into it. See, it really blew my mind. All I'm saying is that we should look at this a little bit further. We should maybe talk more about it. Maybe we should talk with those we maybe have an argument with about Trump. Maybe we can learn from them, and maybe they can learn from us. It's important for us to do that. One of the things I learned was that I mentioned Franklin Graham earlier. He was one of the pastors that Donald Trump, before he became president for his first term, had asked him to speak at his inauguration. Well, I found out that Franklin Graham is actually a mentor of Donald Trump's. Donald Trump respects him greatly. And he even went so far, Donald Trump went so far one day to say, Franklin Graham advised me to stop cussing because it isn't a Christian thing to do. And, you know, Trump brought that out. And that kind of showed that he spends time talking to Franklin Graham and learning from Franklin Graham more and more. That was an interesting thing. Anyways, go and read about this, see what you think. Give me your opinion. I'd love to hear it. Like I said, I believe God puts us in places. God gives us challenges. All of those things are real. And just take a look, see what you think. And thanks for being here today. And until next time.